Before we get into the entire concept of the Afikomen, just a little bit on Yachatz, that we break the middle matzah for Yachatz, and there's two reasons for this minhag. One is because it's matzah's called Afikomen, and we have to recite the God on Ani cannot afford a full loaf of bread, so we take away part. So when we say Afikomen, we have it on Lachmayni. Also, the two halves are used for two mitzvahs. One is for Chilas Matzah, and one is for the Afikomen. And that is actually why we do it right before, in the beginning of the God of Lachmanya, as I mentioned earlier, Lachmayni. The larger part of the Afikomen is used for the Afikomen because it's more chashuv. Also, the reason why we break the middle matzah is that we should, when we make the bracha of a meitzi, we should be on a full matzah, and it's not proper. If you have to make a bracha, you should jump over one mitzvah to do another mitzvah. And so the matzah should be broken in the matzah tash. The Rebbe Rashab would break it. He'd take the large half, break it into 5 pieces, and when he once broke it into 6 pieces, he put it on his side. Now, the Afikomen. The Alter Rebbe, in introduction to Afikomen, brings down the source that in the Beis HaMikdash we had the Karban Pesach, and it was eaten at the end of the meal. And the Karban Pesach had to eat. It says Kadesh she'haya nechel ala seva. You should be. It should satisfy you. And in other words, that when you have food that you walk away from your table, you feel very full, you feel satisfied, satiated. It brings more chshivas to the actual food. And also we learned this out from a pasuk where it says Kachi b'nei Yisrael v'satim l'mashcha, and the mashcha where Hashem says that I'll give the Yidden holy things as a sign of greatness. So we eat the Karban Pesach as great people, as kings do. Now, since these days we do not have the Karban Pesach, we eat the Kazayis Matzah as a zecher for Karban Pesach. We'll talk about the two Kazayisim later on. And since we want the matzah to be the thing that will actually fill you up, therefore we don't need anything after that. We'll discuss a little more in detail soon. The name Afikomen is there's two opinions to the name Afikomen. One opinion is that it's a Greek word referring to foods that were eaten at the end of the meal. There's another opinion is that it's Aramaic. And in times of the Gemara, the way people would eat like on small tables, and each person they would sit like on the floor. Each person had their own table, and when they would finish eating, they would remove those tables of food and bring in a dessert. So Afikomen comes from Afikomen, where Afuke means to take away, man, the food, and bring in the dessert. So Afikomen is referring to the dessert that they would bring back. Now regarding hiding the Afikomen, we wrap it in a cloth and we give it to someone else. And the reason why we give it to someone else to hold is that you shouldn't come to accidentally eating it before the Afikomen. By the Rebbe, the minhag was dafka to place the Afikomen in between two pillows. It's pikabala, but just in short, just to give you a little head start. The reason for it is kar is b'gematria emes, and etc. Kar is a pillow in Hebrew is kar, and so you put between two pillows. There's more details. You could do. I'm telling you what the Rebbe did it, but the point is that you shouldn't be by your matzah. That you shouldn't accidentally eat it.
Why would the pillows find it out? I know, because I just can't hold myself back to eating more matzah. This is real tough.
I'll probably where you.
That's safer.
Yeah, that's safer. Probably.
I look at that.
Yeah. Another reason why I believe so. It says that they ever put it in between two pillows. So they didn't give it. No. Another reason why we wrap it up and hide it is to be yetzer what it says of two psukim. That it says one pasuk says in Shmais, they're both in Shmais. That one pasuk says Shmartim es hamatzos. To be yetzer the concept of Shmartim. protecting the matzah, so we did. Another one is where it says that when the Yidden went out, they wrapped it up in the cloth. So to be into that pasuk also, that's another reason. So, and then regarding hiding it, some people have the minhag to hide the Afikomen, and children should be able to try to find it to keep them awake. Although it's not our minhag to allow the kids to steal it. You could go hide it and ask the kids to go find it, but to put it away where the kids can go feel that they could steal it, we don't do that. So the kids shouldn't shouldn't get a taste of Geneva, and we should be careful that if the kids do hide your Afikomen for you, they should be careful not to put it in a place that may not be so clean.
You should go to sleep before they take it back out.
Yeah, it's true. Good point. Now, one of them, where does the concept of stealing the Afikomen come from? The Makar in the Gemara, it says, that we should snatch away the matzahs on the night of Pesach in order that the kids shouldn't sleep. So there were two explanations on this in the Gemara. Rashi explains that it means that they should take away the matzahs. They should eat the matzahs quickly before the kids fall asleep. They should do the Seder quick while the kids are still awake. Or the Rashbam explains it that we move it quickly away from the table so the children should be awake and ask why we're taking away matzah that we didn't even start eating matzah yet and we're taking it away. So from this concept, people came to the idea of stealing the matzahs. Although it's not our minhag, it has been accepted by certain people. It shouldn't be pushed away as if it's something totally misunderstanding. The reason that they have for stealing it, and by one of the Rabbeim, I think the Rebbe Marash actually wanted his kids to steal it. One time, he caught his daughter stealing it and bought her a set of pearls, a gift of pearls actually for it. But it should be noted that if you have like a nice Afikomen bag, you should be careful that if last year you brought it to the cleaners use starch, and it's a problem if you put your matzah in a bag that was used with starch. Most likely the starch is chametz, but you can look it up into your own, look. And the same thing goes with matzah tash. If you brought your matzah tash last year to the cleaners, so you shouldn't wash anything from Pesach.
I think a lot of matzah tashes can be washed in regular.
I know, just some people bring it to I have to bring it to the kids.
What about like your shirts and your clothes and everything?
Right.
One second.
Well, right. It's true. Starch is a question with chametz, and you have to be careful regarding the cleaners. You could ask them. Well, regarding the amount of chametz, let's ask your local.
I think it's a chomer, if anything. The guy
you should be worried about
All right.
This year, figured out it makes people feel less involved than they really are.
Afikomen, eating the Afikomen before chatzos. What? I heard of cornstarch.
What does the cleaners use?
Chemical starch. First of all, actually the cleaners, the ones that send the shirts out don't have starch in them.
Yeah. Okay, leave it. Shh.
All right. Since as mentioned earlier, the concept of Afikomen comes from the Korban Pesach. Korban Pesach was eaten before Chatzos, and as we actually say it every day in davening, Pesach enu nechel ela b'layla v'enu nechel ela ad Chatzos. Therefore, the Afikomen on the first night is eaten before Chatzos. Although the chiyuv of eating Afikomen before Chatzos is only on the first night, and the second night is only mid'rabbanan. Nevertheless, and this is not a Hirah l'Rabim. I was told to make this clear. It's not a Hirah l'Rabim at all, because the Rabbeim actually the second night used to spend a lot of time on the Agadah, but the Rebbe himself had the second night Afikomen before Chatzos as well. But it's a side. It should be.
The people that were there. People that were there.
It should be.
All the years or just 1 year?
No. As a general thing, the Rebbe had his thing.
mind staying late?
Stay late, no problem.
It should be noted that Chatzos is not 12 o'clock. Some people think, hey, Chatzos is midnight. Chatzos is not midnight. You have to check your local Zman and what time actually Chatzos is. Okay, this next bit might be a little complicated, but it's actually very interesting. So to get your attention for a minute. The second Seder is the same chumras as the first Seder. What happened that with Afikomen we're makel when it comes to Chatzos? And the reason for that is, this is a little introduction to my next part. The reason for that is that in the Gemara there's a machlokes between Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says that you have to have the Afikomen by Chatzos, and Rabbi Akiva says no, you can have it till Alaysim with the Shachar. So the Rabbanan were machmer on the first night to have it till Chatzos, so you shouldn't come to missing the Amud Shachar Zman. But on the second night we're makel, and we could go according to Rabbi Akiva and have it the next day. Now, what happens if someone's on shlichus or some guy works on Tzala and he goes on a call and comes back and he's 20 minutes to Chatzos and he didn't eat his su'udah? What is he supposed to do? So there's an Avnei Nezer gives actually a very interesting way out. He says, you come home, you eat two kazesim for Afikomen, for two kazesim matzah, and you say, if the halacha is before I say that, the concept of the isser of eating after Afikomen exists only that as long as the chiyuv of Afikomen. Meaning once the chiyuv is over, you're allowed to eat. If someone finishes the Afikomen at 10 o'clock and they wake up at 12 and it's still not midnight, they're not allowed to eat. Or according to us, we're machmer to Amud Shachar. Someone wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning and it's not Amud Shachar, you still can't eat. However, if you're on the opinion, so basically now back to this part. So if someone comes home, it's 20 minutes before Chatzos, and he has to eat Afikomen before. So what he does is he eats two kazesim matzah, and he says if the halacha is like a Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah that's only till Chatzos, so these two kazesim are my Afikomen. So and he doesn't eat anything. He doesn't have any of his seudah, nothing till after Chatzos. Once after Chatzos, after Chatzos, then there's only one opinion of that left. It's Amud Shachar. So then he could eat his whole seudah, have another two kazesim, and say this is if the halacha. So if the halacha was according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, he had his two kazesim. If the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva, where you could have your Afikomen till Amud Shachar, then he had his Afikomen on top, and it's a very accepted.
One has a chumrah that you should eat from.
Say it again.
Both of them till Amud Shachar.
Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says till Chatzos.
As a precaution, you shouldn't forget.
I'm not sure. The Rabbanan was
the first night or the second night?
The Rabbanan was machmer that you should do till Chatzos, so you shouldn't come to the mess the Amud Shachar.
So then you wouldn't be allowed to eat
what you're saying is,
we all have that.
After Afikomen.
If you hold
Even if you hold according to the that's what he's trying to say.
what?
Even if you hold according to the opinion of Chatzos, you still would not be able to eat after Afikomen until after Alos.
No, because if you hold according to the opinion of the Afikomen, it's only till Chatzos. After Chatzos, you're allowed to eat. There's no limit.
Even according to that opinion.
No?
No, but he makes it sound says that this will only be my
If you hold according to that. But we're machmer, so to make it clear, we are actually machmer that we have the Afikomen before Chatzos, but we don't eat until Amud Shachar, so we do both opinions the first time. But in certain scenarios, you're allowed to rely on that opinion.
So why we make on the second night?
No, so the second night we'll make on it, yeah.
so Tachas,
But what about the eating after the Seder? After the
But we're machmer to wait till the
Like the
morning.
second night. We keep the machumra also. Naviri.
So the second night we're makel on the first thing, but we're still till on the Shabbos. So you still can't eat on the shore.
So yes, so tachlis, you already have to do this, and you have to run the whole Seder night to do your already have planned this stuff. What do you do?
That's what you do. Exactly what I just said.
So you have your Seder.
You eat two kazesim of Afikomen.
Do I have to remember all these people's name, or can I just say this for this guy? That's right.
You don't have to say anything. Okay, now some minhagim for eating the Afikomen. In some communities outside of Chabad, they say that before eating the Afikomen, they say that the they're eating the Afikomen zeichel lekavod Pesach she'einech al seva. Some people have the minhag to place the Afikomen in a sack and place it over their shoulder for the same reason, for it's coming from the same pasuk as I mentioned earlier. Where they say they walk 4 amas, and they walk 4 amas, and they say that they would walk around with matzah's cloth in their wrapped in a cloth on their shoulders. And the one leading the Seder, the owner of the house, or someone that has his own kairon, has a family, he should give everybody some of the matzah. Obviously, he could give a small piece from there, and the regular matzah. We'll discuss that a little more in detail soon. Give regular matzah. Now, how much matzah should somebody eat? We should eat. I'm only talking about the Afikomen. The we should eat 2 matzahs of matzah. One, and the reason why we have 2 kazesim is one for the Karban Pesach and one for the matzah that was eaten with the Karban Pesach. But if someone has difficulties eating 2 kazesim, it's okay to have 1 kazayis, but he should have in mind, he should say, I'm eating 1 kazayis. If the final halacha is that we eat the Afikomen for the matzah that was eaten in the Karban Pesach, the matzah I'm eating now is for that matzah. If the final halacha is that we eat the Afikomen for the Karban Pesach, then the matzah that I'm eating now is zecher for the Karban Pesach. The Nata Gabriel brings down that someone that reaches chinuch, is a kid, katan shegil chinuch, is obligated to have a Afikomen, but 1 kazayis is enough. In most cases, we do not. In most cases, if we don't have 2 kazesim, like in most cases, you will not have 2 kazesim in your Afikomen. You could add in regular matzah, other matzah. If someone has an issue eating matzah and they could only have 1 kazayis matzah at the Seder, it should be done at the Afikomen. He washes his hands. He does not make the bracha until Sedayim because he's eating less than a chilas pras, and he should have that kazayis then at that time. At the time of the Afikomen. No matzah. If you could only have 1 kazayis, someone that's not out there.
You make the brachas.
So he washes by Kilos Matzah.
No, he washes by Afikomen.
He washes by, so he doesn't.
But doesn't make and does not make the bracha until Sedayim.
It doesn't make the minimum.
No, because he's eating less than a chilas pras.
Why is he
And it's actually it's a sif in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. What?
Why is he eating less than the Kilos Matzah?
Because he's only eating 1 kazayis. For Afikomen, you don't need 1 kazayis. You don't need.
That's not
minimum.
So you don't make.
If you eat 1 kazayis is less than a chilas pras.
No. This process is a time.
Not a chilas pras. Sorry, I mixed that up. With the measurement that you need. I'll tell you in a second. I think I wrote it down.
We took it.
He's saying something you can't do a lot. You only have a little bit of size, and you shouldn't
Oh, sorry. You're eating less than a bit. Sorry. Correction. Since you're eating less than a bit, so you do not make the bracha until Sedayim. Now, how should the Afikomen be eaten? The Afikomen has to be eaten basiba, leaning over, just like the Karban Pesach. And there is an opinion that you don't have to. So if it's difficult for someone, or if someone didn't lean, it's fine. The Afikomen has to be eaten in 1 place, just like the Karban Pesach. and the same issue is if someone fell asleep. I'll explain a little later. It's also just like you eat that Afikomen in two places, but we'll get to that.
When should you eat if you said before you only do only the Afikomen? Going back to earlier in the Shiur, if you wanted to split it, you would to go according to both opinions. Which one should you then do? If you're only going to do one, should you eat before you say it, or should you do it later?
If you have time.
If you have time, you're able to eat only one.
Yeah.
If you only,
You can only eat one. But before you mentioned about the Afikomen to split it twice. Do one before one.
No. When I said doing 2 times, it's eating 2 kazayis in the end and then later eating 2 kazayis, not splitting the kazayis. Having
I
the full
understand. So should I do 1 kazayis earlier or 1 kazayis later?
whenever.
You're not going according to either opinion, so.
That's either way. Doesn't matter. Which one's preferred?
Now, a person should eat the Afikomen, or when the person eats the Afikomen, he should have eaten normally before. A person should not be hungry, and he shouldn't be too full to the extent where he can't eat anymore. He has no appetite. You will not be getting to the Afikomen. What?
That's like standard by the time you get Afikomen.
So you just make sure you have to be careful. No, but you can still eat something.
It shouldn't be too full either.
The Afikomen should be eaten in less than 4 minutes, but if someone has a difficulty, they could be extended. I know in the Rabbi Azlaba's paper this year they wrote 6 minutes or something. Rabbi Heller told me 9 minutes. You go up to 9 minutes. The general rule is with the Zman is if it's something with the rice, it's 4 minutes. If it's something with the Rabbanan, it's 9 minutes.
How do you end up at 6?
Because it says place is 6 minutes, but Rabbi Heller told me you could go till 9 minutes as well altogether. And these actually cares for it. Now regarding drinking, eating, or smoking after Afikomen. The Mishnah, the Gemara in the Mishnah, it's brought down. It says Ein maftirin achar Pesach Afikomen. It's in 2 different opinions what maftirin means, but it means like adding on, like the concept of Haftarah or after. It can mean to eat. You don't eat after the Afikomen. But in any case, you don't eat anything after Afikomen in order that you shouldn't remove the taste. Eat or drink anything that will take away the taste. We're machmir completely not to eat anything. Drinking, in Shulchan Aruch it says about it's okay if it's water or some other drinks that are not anything that will remove the taste. Although our minig is not to drink at all, as mentioned in the Alter Rebbe, in the Haggadah, or from the Alter Rebbe, it says Vizar that you shouldn't drink water. Out of it doesn't mention anything about eating. It doesn't mention. It just says Vizar you shouldn't drink water, and the reason it warns us against drinking water, and the reason behind that is that what the point the Alter Rebbe is trying to bring is that even though it's okay, but nevertheless a person should drink enough, should eat enough before the Afikomen, that they shouldn't have to come to the stage where they have to drink water after the Afikomen.
Where in the Haggadah does it say Yazar?
It's clear right
No, I'm
by
saying before or after? Before, like the end of the Haggadah? Or?
No, by itself.
Before the Afikomen.
Yeah, it says you should be careful not to drink water.
Both nights, you know, either drink?
Yeah.
When you're making twice, you're drinking twice wine, that's like very strong. And you have no
You're allowed if it's
taste left of matzah after you drink the same wine.
that is,
Type of drinking fine.
it's a good question actually, and I thought about it at one more point, and then I forgot to look it up. I'm sorry.
So why don't we just get it tomorrow?
Label.
I thought the
Okay,
second...
label, you follow up.
Hold on a minute. I thought the second night you're allowed to eat and drink afterwards.
No.
Level, I think you're scheduled to give us share next.
Okay, it is.
Always with the smoking.
Okay, I'll say that right
We'll
now.
come up with a bunch of questions.
No smoking.
The Nittig of brings down from various.
If you eat the Afikomen on the second night before Chatzos, then B'chodah, you can eat and drink on Chatzos. Because the second night we go according to one shita.
Amud Shachar. So that means
Only you go, one second, you go according to the Shachar.
Chatzilla we're made to go according to Amud Shachar.
Maybe go, maybe
You could go according to whoever you want.
So if you go according to one shita, you can eat after.
Right, just like the
You
first
don't
night.
drink anything after this.
Alright, Nittig of brings down from various.
I just wanted to sleep after that.
I'm almost done. The Nothing Gabriel brings down from various places that a person should not smoke after the Afikomen for the same reason that it could remove the taste of the Afikomen from your mouth. However, the Rebbe writes in Rishimis that the Frierdiker Rebbe told him that the Rebbe Rashav would smoke after the Afikomen. So, in the Rebbe's Agada, I already said it's about drinking. What happens if somebody falls asleep during eating Afikomen? Someone that's sitting alone, only if he's sitting alone, the Rebbe goes into another whole separate thing. In most cases, it's okay if you're sitting with other people. But if somebody is sitting alone and he fell asleep in the middle of eating Afikomen, he's not allowed to continue. He's not allowed to continue eating the Afikomen once he wakes up. If he didn't have a full size.
In the middle of the Afikomen.
Middle of eating it, right?
Middle of those 9 minutes, you fall asleep.
Why don't you just read it?
You can't. You're done. Whatever you had is done, and that's it.
Sweet.
It's considered as a hefsek.
What about any other points?
Now, what happens if someone forgets to eat the Afikomen?
You're talking before this man and after this man, isn't it? Fell asleep.
If someone started eating the Afikomen,
It's at the hefsek of the eating.
yeah,
So you can do it. You say you
You
could do it later, just like earlier. If it's before Chatzos, then you could do the one now.
Yeah, start again.
Said earlier. Like one or two.
Something tells me
Start again.
after Chatzos.
To start again.
No, but if it's before Chatzos, you can start again.
No,
Oh, I get
What do you mean? He didn't eat the kazayas.
Why can't you start again?
that's what the Alter Rebbe says.
He didn't eat
The
kazayas.
Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, Tafai and Chesed.
But he didn't eat
You have
kazayas.
to eat two
So
kazayas.
if you finish one and you fall
So
asleep,
you're right.
wake
You're
up
right.
and
Go
go
on.
on.
That's what the Alter. Take a look, double check it if you want. See, there's a Shulchan Aruch right there.
You started eating, you fell asleep.
I could be mistaken, but you could double check. But
Fall asleep, finished. No
Yeah,
more,
but
no
now
more,
you're
no more
talking,
talking.
everybody.
That's right. So let's consider it sleep.
Once you
know,
start-
the person that goes like
this is only if you're sitting alone.
Oh, you're sitting with other people?
If you're sitting with other people, it's not like that. The Alter Rebbe goes a lot into details.
How about
I'm
smoking?
I'm eating in the
About
kitchen.
smoking, the Frierdiker Rebbe didn't smoke.
I didn't say the figure of smoke.
I know.
I don't know.
The Frierdiker Rebbe didn't smoke on
Yom Tov.
Yom
But here comes out the Rebbe.
Okay, now what happens?
Yom Tov.
What happens if someone forgets to eat the Afikomen?
Story with Reb Shmuel. He offered the Frierdiker Rebbe cigarettes that he was mashkiach, and Frierdiker Rebbe didn't take it. And then after he said he had tzara, he didn't take it. Yeah.
If someone already started Rabbi Isai, he should go wash his hands again, like you would for Meitzi, but he does not make any brachas. Even though other times you would have to make the bracha again, but since this is a mitzvah of Hashem, being Mesiach Das does not accomplish anything here. It doesn't cause you to make the brachas again. If he already started benching, then he should finish benching. He shouldn't make the bracha agafen at the end of benching on the wine. He should first go wash his hands, make both brachas again, eat the Afikomen, bench, and then have the third cup of wine. If he already had the third cup of wine, he should wash, make the brachas, eat Afikomen, fill up the fourth cup of wine, bench without hagafen, and leave the fourth cup for the end and continue the Haggadah. If he already started halal, then he should finish halal, have a fourth cup of wine, then go and wash his hands again, have Afikomen, and bench without a cup of wine. What happens if someone lost the Afikomen? You can take any other matzah to eat for the Afikomen. Here's just a few interesting segulas regarding the Afikomen. In Kurdistan, the Yidden there, they would take a piece of leftover Afikomen and they would put it like in their rice or flour, salt containers, whatever it is, as a segula that their food should never, their house should always have food, their container should never be empty of food. Many Yidden in North Africa, particularly Morocco, where people would travel a lot, they would take a piece of matzah as a shmir for them, because they believed that when traveling, if the water got very, whatever, dangerous to travel, whatever you want to call it.
No shriya.
No, so they would, if they were traveling on a business trip and they would be in danger, they would throw a piece of the matzah into the water and it would calm down the water. But some have the minhag also to sewing. This is not, we don't really do